Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the K and B Music Den. I am everybody's friend Keith, and you, sir, are.
As always, I'm Brad.
You are, as always, steady, reliable, Brad.
Try. I try to be.
You succeed. So, hey, Brad, the folks know what they clicked on. They can read, I'm sure. So, we're talking about the band called The Smile. This is their second album called Wall of Eyes. Now, this
Hmm.
band is very well known for having some pretty famous band members,
Sure
um,
does.
namely Tom York and Johnny Greenwood of Radiohead fame.
Hmm.
Um, so, man, I tell you, their debut album came out, over a year ago, and it's interesting because I'm a huge Radiohead fan, and I really enjoyed the album, but I didn't really go back to it too much, and I don't know why.
Okay.
Um, and then when I started to again recently, as we were leading up to Wall of Eyes here, I kind of revisited the first one, and it's fantastic. So it's making me wonder why I never got that one in physical format. I think I'm going to remedy that.
Yeah.
um, but we are here to talk about their new album. The second album called Wall of Eyes just came out a couple days ago. Um, Now I will admit, on the first listen, on the
Okay.
first listen of this album, it seemed to me like there was a chance that this was kind of like leftovers or maybe B-sides from the first album, kind of just, I don't want to say thrown together, but that's kind of the sense that I got
Okay.
initially. But as I continued to listen to it, I realized I was just way off. um, but let me ask you: have you, do you have much familiarity with the first album? I know you're a big Radiohead fan as well. And then, kind of going into this one, how did it work out for you?
I mean, as far as the first Mile album, I was like kind of like you. I had it. I heard the album. I enjoyed it, and I just didn't go back to it. So it's weird that you say that because I have the
Yeah,
same experience with it where I didn't purchase it. I don't have it on physical format in any way, and it wasn't a high listen to me. But the album itself was good. I mean, so I don't know
yeah,
why it didn't garner more listens for me, but it just didn't. Um, but going into this, I was excited because I am a fan of Tom York, Greenwoods, and I like what they do. And I think, like you said, this one to me is very good. I mean, this to me, I don't get the B side vibe right away. Now, I didn't listen to this right after the first one again, so that might have changed things if I did.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think it was just a knee-jerk reaction on my part. I had this, like, I was really hyped for this, and I think the first one
Mm-hmm.
is so strong. Now it's a little unfair because the first one has roughly twice as many songs.
Certainly does.
Um,
Yeah.
which could be in its favor or to its detriment, depending on how you look at it. This seems to be a tighter, more, I don't know if I want to say more cohesive listen. I'm not sure yet. I've only listened to it a few times. Um, but, something seemed different to me about this Smile album versus the first one. Couldn't quite put my finger on it. Kept listening, and then I did a tiny bit of research, and I did find out a couple things that these new songs were developed on the road as they were supporting their first album on tour.
Okay.
So that shoots down my B-sides
It
leftovers
certainly
theory.
does.
um, but another, even more importantly, I found out that this album was not produced by Nigel Godrich, who produced a ton of the Radiohead stuff and who produced the first Smile
Huh?
album. Yeah. This second album was produced by Sam Petz Davies, which I'm not too familiar with. Um,
Not at all.
but he has worked with York in the past on some soundtrack things they did, some solo stuff and all that. So they decided to bring Sam in for this one. And to me, you can definitely tell there's a difference in the production.
Sure.
I mean, you can tell it's the same project and everything, and Tom's voice always
Hmm.
brings everything together. Um, but the bottom line for me is when you put Tom York in a room, especially if Johnny Greenwood's in the same room,
Oh yeah.
um, you're bound to get magic on the platter. And I think to a large extent that's what we get with this album.
There's a lot of it on here. Absolutely. To me, I think some of the best things about this album is something that York and Greenwood always seem to do well, which is create this great atmosphere. There's like this atmospheric, ethereal. I don't know how to. There's some like beauty in the silence on the album where they
Mm,
just paint over top. I don't know if that makes sense to you as a
it
casual
does.
listener saying it, but they use space so well.
You're absolutely right. Beauty in the silence, folks. There's another
Mm.
Bradism where he says something in 4 words that would take me 5 minutes to say, and he says it better. He does it all the time. I love him and hate him for it. No, no, but dude, you're right. Beauty in the silence. What a great way to put that. Now interesting to me, and I'm sure we'll get into a couple of songs here and then talk a little deeper. But um, this album is only it's 8
Mhm.
songs long. It
Yeah.
doesn't overstay its welcome, which is kind of nice compared to the first one. Um, I don't think I've ever said this about an album. You know how we talk about front loaded, back loaded. It's an A side
Sure.
album. It's a B side album. It's a
B-side,
great
yeah.
album throughout. Um, I almost feel like, and again, I need more listens with it, but I almost feel like this album is what I'm now going to coin middle loaded.
Okay.
I, I
So it
feel
doesn't
like,
bookend well, but
yeah, I feel like the bookends are good, but I
okay.
feel like the meat is in the middle of the sandwich here. Those
Okay.
middle tracks are really where it's at. I think the first truly undeniably great song on this album is track 3, Read the Room.
Okay. So that's your top track at this point, you think?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. And I like that one a lot. And I put on there, I mean, I really enjoyed the guitar lick. It was a unique, sound coming in on that. And Commons' vocal was a little bit more snarky on this one. There was a little bit of a old
Yes.
Tom York, I thought, on this.
Yes. I totally agree. While we're talking about Read the Room, I pulled out a lyric here. He sings, "These kind of phone calls, these candy aerosols, the massive egos, so big they bend the light."
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
really good.
Tom York lyrics are always so bizarre, too. I mean,
Yeah, and
sometimes I wonder if they're just being computer generated, but then you have something like that come out where there's obviously,
computer.
but oh man,
Yeah. Well, maybe Fit or Happier on OK Computer was computer generated, but
yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's another
Yeah.
conversation. But yeah, but the pulse of the rhythm to this track, Read the Room, is just
Yep.
I mean, the first 2 songs are really a little more mellow, a little more pensive, beautiful in their own way. But
Yeah.
when that track 3 hits in with that galloping rhythm, it's when I really got fully drawn into the album as a whole. That's just
And
me.
I agree. Now, for
Yeah.
me though, as well, I have albums that I have stacked for different reasons in my life. I have ones that are great in the car, ones that are great when I'm just relaxing in here, and then I have albums when I go to sleep that I really like to listen to. And those first 2 tracks are gorgeous for that reason.
Oh, yeah.
Like oh God, how many this? Teleharmonic.
Yes.
I absolutely love that song. I mean, just
Yeah.
that's one of those ones again where it has that great atmosphere and painting over that quietness like I'm talking about, just beautiful. So I mean, that's kind of where my first nod went to Teleharmonic. Teleharmonic. Can't say that word, man.
Tell a friend, telegraph, telephone. Yeah, that's a great track. I think over time as I listen to this more, my whole middle loaded thing may end up turning into a great album throughout. It's a very strong possibility. And I talked earlier about Tom and Johnny just put them together in a room and it's magic. I mean, if for me, if you threw Tom York and Johnny Greenwood in a room, Johnny had an acoustic guitar, Tom had a little organ or piano type setup, a couple microphones, and that's it. They could make a whole album just like that, and I would be riveted. I mean, there's
I would be too. I would be too.
something about his voice and the way those 2 work together. Oh man, yeah,
I agree.
It's elite stuff. So now let me ask you something. If you had to pick one major difference between The Smile and Radiohead when you listen to both, particularly The Smile now, what would you say that is?
I mean, it's hard to point to because Radiohead has different Radiohead sounds. I mean, you have anywhere from the Bends, Pablo Honey, to like some of their, later stuff, which is completely different sounding than those.
Yeah.
To me, it's hard. Now, when I hear this album, this kind of harkens back to In Rainbows for me a little bit. Like if I were to pair this up with a Radiohead album, this has a little bit of an In Rainbow sound where to me, there's a lot of like juxtaposed sounds and thought out, like I said, the atmosphere. There's different ways of when to touch the silence in the room. And those 2 albums kind of twin each other to me a little bit.
Very good, very true. I didn't think of that, but I totally agree. Totally agree.
Mhm.
Actually, kind of makes me want to go back and listen to it in Rainbow. um, so yeah, man. Let's see. What else did I want to highlight here? The track 7 is another standout for me. Bending Hectic.
Okay, yeah,
I pulled out a lyric here. The ground is coming for me now. We've gone over the edge. If you've got something to say it now.
yeah. Well, how do you feel about that when it hits that 6 minute mark and it just chaos comes
Oh
in?
yeah, that's great. Yeah, man.
It is fantastic. It really is. Uh, for me, my I think a standout for me was "Friend of a Friend,"
That
track
was my other
5.
one. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. I
yeah.
mean that one's very very great. I mean, what's to say here? I like the fact that it had that nice piano part in the beginning.
Yes.
Um, but where does all that money go? In someone's pocket. I mean, it's true. Like it's just.
Yeah.
But all in all, like I really that one stood out to me quite a bit.
Yeah, that one starts real interesting with especially the beginning. What I wrote down here is that the song is very whimsical and playful.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, which I think, especially even where it is in the album, right in the middle there, number track
Hmm.
5. I think it is track 5.
It
Um,
is.
yeah, great stuff. Yeah, I mean, we've been anticipating this album. I I really want to remedy the fact that I don't have either of these albums in physical format because I think they're important to the Tom York, Johnny Greenwood story of
Sure.
among everything they've done, Radiohead primarily, of course, but I think this will be remembered as something special. Um, Now, where do you stand on? Are you anxious for Radiohead to get back together and do another album, or are you just into the smile and saying, hey, whatever they decide to do, I'm good with, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm kind of on that line of thinking right now, where whatever Johnny and Tom are kind of leaning towards, just let it go that way because their creative ideas and ambition, they're usually on the right track. So they don't need me to push one way or the other mentally. So whatever
Yeah,
they give
yeah.
me, hey, I'm be happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel the same way. It would be very interesting to see what Radiohead would do next after these Smile albums.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it would be kind of amazing if they got back together at some point and did an album. You know what I'm going to say? An album kind of leaning towards the Ben sound.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, I know they're older now, and maybe that
Mhm.
was at that time in their lives, and they're doing more with electronic stuff, and they're very innovative. Like I've said before, and I'll say it again here now. I mean, to me, Radiohead is the Pink Floyd of our generation,
Yeah.
um, in a different way, obviously, but you know what I mean. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited and interested to see where it all goes next. The Smile,
Mhm.
Radiohead. I mean, Tom York's put out solo stuff in the past. You never know. Um, but it's all quality. It's all stuff that I love to have in my collection. Like I said, I
Yeah.
think we're gonna remedy that with the Smile albums. I think you're gonna see them in my collection here soon. Um, but now, okay, I mean, we generally speaking, when we review albums, we pose the question, would you buy this on vinyl? So I'll pose that to
Certainly.
you.
Oh, absolutely would. Yeah.
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 Do you think you will?
There's a good chance that I'll be buying it this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a good move that they had a lot of songs, a lot of material on that first album.
Mhm.
And I think, initially when I saw 8 tracks here, I was a little disappointed, but after I listened, I was like, I think this was the right move. A nice
I
tight
agree.
album.
With the track lengths and everything that were involved in this, I think 8 tracks is
True.
perfect.
True. I think it's about 45 minutes
It is.
for the album. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's can't argue with that or be
No.
disappointed in that.
Nope.
Um, But yeah, folks, you know what we're gonna say. Weigh in the comments here. The Smile, their new album Wall of Eyes. This is highly anticipated. And again, it's January. We've already got some top-notch music coming out. I could, easily see this making our top 10. There's a lot more to go here this year, but I think this has got a solid footing. I'd be interested to see what might kick it
Mhm.
out. So I don't know where it would fall in the ranking, but I mean, I'd be pretty surprised if it's not in there. But again, it's a long year to go.
It is. It's a contender, but it's a long ways to go. You're right.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, yeah, I think that's about it. I think we covered it.
Mhm.
Like I said, folks, weigh in. What are your thoughts on the Smile? What are your thoughts on, should Radiohead get back together? Should the Smile keep going? Whatever they decide to do is fine with you, which is kind of where Brad and I fall. Let us know your thoughts on that as well. So for Brad, this is Keith, and this is the KMB Music Den. Please like this video, share it on social media, subscribe to the channel, smash the bell for notifications. You'll be notified every time we drop new content. We've got lots of albums coming out already early in the year. There's more coming out in February and March that we've got our eyes on that we will be reviewing, whether it be a full form video like this, or once in a while we'll do a quick short album review for time's sake as well. So, but please stick with us. We got Discnology coming back soon for REM. I apologize for the delay on that, but Automatic for the People is coming real soon for you. And thanks for watching. Thanks, Brad, for your time. And
You got it.
looks like we got 2 thumbs up here on the Smile.
We did.
All right, let's see how many more thumbs we can get in the air out in the Webiverse. All right, guys, have a good one. Thanks for your time.